As we can all see, we're on the widescreen camera right now. Eva talked with Ryan. It's his opinion that that camera probably has some issues with this computer because different time frames and such. He will send us, he is sending us a camera and a microphone to hook up to this computer that theoretically should give us better video and audio quality. So that should be here
June 1st.
June 1st.
And then I got to figure out how to install it.
Hey, Harry. Hi, Brian. Hi, Chris,
everybody.
Rock. And that's about it this time. Oh, ouch. It's been an interesting week. By the way, does anyone here have they seen the rat killer video I just posted? Just curious as to whether that got announced also.
I haven't gotten announcements for any of them, so
Okay, Brian.
YouTube hates me.
It hasn't shown up. Let me just check something here. Let's see. Hard Rock Universe. Let's see if I can see it. Yeah, it's there. Okay. So, anyhow, to make a long story short, yeah, I did, Chris. That's kind of interesting. Hey, Gary. Yeah, we have some kind of critter in the lab, knocked over a few things, broke a couple of Eva's crucibles. She was most annoyed.
20% of my crucible stock is now gone.
So anyhow,
You'd be annoyed too.
of course I would. So we got some decon rat killer, and I kind of assumed that there was some kind of toxic material in there. But Eva found out when she read the label that nope, there's absolutely nothing in there that doesn't look food grade. I think the basic active ingredient is sodium bicarbonate because they can't burp. I think it gives them, deadly gas. But anyhow, it was pretty funny when she read the instruction, the stuff. And then she goes, heck, in an emergency, you could probably make biscuits out of it. So I asked her, I wonder if anyone has checked what the LD50 for Bisquick is on rats. Because it may actually be fatal to rats. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure it would be in any reasonable quantities. But wouldn't that be hilarious? No, there's no soy in there.
There's soybean oil.
Soybean oil, she says. But anyhow, oh, that was just hilarious. What's the LD50 for Bisquick on rats? Boy, could that open a can of worms, huh? But anyhow. Oh, good, Brian. What you got going here? Did you manage to check the dissolution time at various temperatures and get some kind of projection in degrees F? Yeah. Now this would be agitated dissolution of gold foil. So it's a very standardized test, and everything is the same solution and everything else. The only difference would be the temperature. So what was the lowest temp and the highest temp, Brian? And what was the difference in dissolution times? Oh, and thank you very much for sending me that. that article on the potassium permanganate. I haven't had much chance to go through it in detail yet. Been a little busy. However, it does seem from the narratives that they have in there that the glycine does work at lower temperatures. It's not like a critical temperature, but it is slower. So 120 degrees, 30 seconds. Well, so far, it's looking good. Brian said at 130 degrees, it took 30 seconds. At 120 degrees, it took 30 seconds. We'll see if he's got any further results yet. But anyhow, as I say, it seemed that the glycine might be plausible. 110 degrees, 40 seconds. Okay, we're starting to see some fall off in dissolution speed, but now we're starting to get to ambient temperatures depending on where you're at.
And season.
Yeah.
Our tank gets up to 98.
Yep. As I say, that's good. One thing I was thinking that might be an issue, 100 degrees, 37 seconds, essentially the same as the 110. Interesting. Is you might get a lot of insects, deer, birds, anything like that. That's what I'm thinking, Chris. I say we're starting to get down into temperatures that are not that hard to get. You know, as a matter of fact, our tank, quite often in the summertime, where we're starting with relatively warm and then cranking those pumps in it, it gets above that, above the 100 degrees. How much do we get?
No, it gets up to 99. I have never gotten 100.
99 Fahrenheit.
35 C. So yeah, about 99.
About 99 Fahrenheit is what we've actually achieved, just with nothing more than ambient and the 3 pumps doing their thing. So that should be fairly easy to achieve if necessary. Thank you very much, Brian, because that's quite encouraging. Still have to do 90, 80, and 70. Yep.
Well, that so far is sounding
that's fine. I mean, so far we've only seen a 30% reduction in kinetics. You know, we've already got to the high end of what you might call ambient temperature. So that's pretty cool.
I'd like to see what it does at around 70.
Yeah. Well, Brian's working on it. As you all saw, we finished the breakthrough up. Now, one thing I forgot to do was, he says you have to add the oxidizer last. Okay. Interesting. So anyhow, I forgot to take a picture of the vein right there because it's a very good example of multiple events. I mean, you can see at least 2, maybe 3. It's kind of hard to tell. Definitely 2, because you got that high quartz kryptonite, and then you got a much more broken up, soft iron.
Last meaning
weakened.
After ore and everything?
That's a good question. Brian, do you mean last when you're mixing the solution, or last when you finally add the substance to be dissolved? But anyhow, it was just kind of like a perfect visualization, and I forgot to just take a good clear picture of that. I was working hard to try and get the breakthrough done, and while that stuff was falling away real easily when I was going there, it says oxidizer then gold as close together as you can.
And has he tried any tests without oxidizer? Just out of curiosity.
Doesn't need to. We know it doesn't work nearly as well. Okay. Different oxidizers will work different. But yeah, without oxidize is very slow. That's in the literature. But anyhow, so what I was dropping there was going down pretty easy in the video. But on the right side, it got anything but easy. As a matter of fact, it was tougher than the kryptonite. Cool, Brian. Let us know how that works out.
Uh-huh.
But the
No schedule or coverage info.
uh-huh. Cool. Understood, little one. So then I gave the Sierra Blaster the biggest workout it's ever done yet in one day. I left the detonating cord in place so I wouldn't have to rerun it every time. And I used the Sierra Blaster 4 or 5 shots to get that corner back. It's apparently it's past the boundary of the perpendicular vein structure into the wall rock, and it's one of those freaking quartzite layers, and it is tough as a son of a gun. With my bits, I was drilling 3 holes at once, sort of thing, and the stuff in the kryptonite was softer than the quartzite wall rock. It's some tough stuff. That's why that the hanging wall in the big stope is so solid, because that's about a 5 or 6 foot chunk of that quartzite, and it is some tough stuff. But without the Sierra Blaster, I'd have been screwed. As it was, I was able to pop the hard spots and work the corners back. That's what was giving me a problem. The upper corner there was just really, really tough. And so I've got, okay, he says 90 degrees was 45 seconds. So still coming up a little bit, but still, less than, well, the dissolution time hasn't doubled yet. Now, while that sounds like a lot, the difference between heating slurry and doing it at ambient temperature is really important. Also, probably when we finish all this up, it probably indicates that without additional heating, you're probably not going to be able to do much as the temperatures get cold over the winter, well below the freezing point of the solution. It's just going to get too cold to be active. So we shall see. And Chris was absolutely right. The sluice box that I've got set up is rather crude, rude, and uncouth. I am actually quite shocked at how well it seems to be working. With each stage getting a lot more gold and coarser gold than the stages past. If you have a sluice that's not doing its job, you'd expect to see bigger gold kind of throughout the whole thing, just somewhat lesser towards the end. But I mean, things in the 3 to 4 thousandths range, which let me check. Okay, so that's in the 170, 200 mesh. Call it 200 mesh range. The 200 mesh plus just isn't making it to the second mat, which is actually shocking to me. As Chris correctly points out, that's good, Brian. as Chris points out, you usually want to get your flow stabilized and this and that and the other to maximize. And we're doing very small gold in general compared to your usual sluice box. However, we got a couple of things working in our favor. Number one, the gang materials are ground really fine. Okay. There's some chunkier stuff that gets caught in the sluice, but the vast majority of it is in the 50 mesh minus range, which means I can run the sluice gentler and still not plug up the riffles and stuff. So that's a big, big help. The other thing is the impact mill is balling up the gold. Looking under a microscope, and we're going to try and get a microscope here as soon as we can. It's kind of scheduled for next Social Security check or the one after, not sure which. But anyhow, that all the stuff in the 3,000, the 200 mesh plus is all balls. It's bounced around in the impact mill and turned into spheres. And a sphere is the easiest thing to catch in a sluice. It gives you your maximum settling velocity. So that has worked to our advantage too. Exactly, Brian. It settles quickly and doesn't get pushed on as much. There's a couple ways you can take that rock, but I think in gravity separation, it's very, very clear. It's real pretty too. The panned concentrates under magnification. So we'll be getting something here pretty quick. Yep, exactly. That's why I think it's Red. Is it Red Dog mining? Anyhow, they're using a ball mill, and it seems to be flattening them out pretty good, which is counterproductive if you're doing a gravity separation. Red Wing. There you go. Thank you, Chris. I was pretty sure I got that wrong. But yeah, it's pounding his to flakes, which is not desirable. Obviously, it's not stopping him. But balls are a lot easier to get. Now, once you get past the gravity separation and you get into the leaching, it's just the opposite. And the thinner you can get it, the faster it'll dissolve. But tentatively, it looks like almost all the gold that's going into the leach circuit is either 500 mesh minus free gold or not freed up yet. So if it's not freed up, there's not much we can do about that without a more significant grinding. And I think we're getting pretty good grinding right now, but I don't know. And the other one is cool, Mr. Virtue. And let's say the other thing is that's what leaching does. It's real fine. So I did get some results. Remember last fall, we did a very modest test, 70 pounds. It's a material that we had a couple assays from. I made 350 pounds of this stuff in one batch. Thank you, Brian. And then we took that. We did a number of tests. The last test we did was on 70 pounds. That's all we had left. Could be. That would make sense, Chris. But anyhow, and the assays of this batch, this 350 pounds, varied from about 1/3 to 2/3 of an ounce. So it's kind of hard to tell what our actual feed was. However, assuming the lower value, we got about 50% recovered via gravity separation, and the 24-hour bottle roll gave about 35% of the total recovered, and the 7 months sitting in the jugs in the bathroom at room temperature and shaken about once a month, that got about another 15%. Okay. And so, again, it's kind of hard to tell since we don't know the true head grade, but I'm guessing that we did pretty good with the gravity recovery. I wasn't expecting to get that good, especially all we were using that was that little mini sluice. But it's a little mini VDR cleanup sluice. But yeah. Yeah. Okay, Chris, you said also tends to do well for flotation contact angles. Does that mean the flakes do better or the balls do better? Not sure. But anyhow, I was actually very pleasantly surprised, but I was surprised that the sluice is actually doing as well as it is, or apparently as well as it is. And we'll have some kind of results. And okay. No, I did not, Mr. Virtue. 2 reasons. Number one, I came of age right at the end of Vietnam, and the military wasn't too in favor at the time, and they were downsizing anyway. On the other hand, I also have a problem with bureaucracies. I know we need them, but I'm the kind of guy that doesn't know how to keep my mouth shut. This could be a problem in the military. In a normal job, they just fire you. In the military, they do other things to you. So I don't think I'm an ideal fit for military service. I have a lot of respect for the guys who do, but
oh, gee. You're making a movie about Ronald Reagan.
I just have a feeling I would have been walking a fence someplace very cold and very dark and very miserable. So
John Boyd is making Ronald Reagan.
Okay.
And Dennis Quaid.
But anyhow, so that's kind of my thought with the military. I don't think I would have. I don't do well with bureaucracies, period. Okay. Eva's son is working for Bay Area Transit. Oh my goodness, I just couldn't deal with that guy. To me, your job should be about doing your job, not the politics. I don't do the politics too well. You may have noticed. But anyhow, so the tentative priorities for this week are number one, we got to get those samples we took at the breakthrough process. Up to this point, Montana Bee has not been even theoretically profitable. Okay. In other words, even if we take all the R&D out of it, just how much money has been spent versus how much gold recovered, it has been a negative. How many levels in Montana Bee? 1 major horizontal level, 2 major stopes, and the horizontal level collects them. 1 stope is at vertical and 1 is at about 60 degrees to vertical intersecting.
I'm still wondering what's below the 40-foot. There might be.
So we're not sure how much could go in what direction, but the indications are that it was richer right about at the 40-foot level. at the perpendicular vein. There's a lot more workings. It's a lot bigger. Everything indicates it was richer there. So this sample, we got 3 basic samples. Number 1, the softer part of the vein, I was able to, once I made the breakthrough, got through there and put in the next piece of ladder track, and then put a tarp down and took out the softer parts of the vein, put those in buckets. Then I took down the kryptonite vein and what's that face? What do you mean across the bridge at Moria? That plank there, there's the drift extends, I think, about another 60 feet into the hanging wall. And none of those were, again, high grades. There's gold there. Not that. Hey, Aaron, how's it going?
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Let me write that down here. Thank you for reminding me. We need to get the stuff from Jeff. I got all crushed, and I already panned. Let's see. Let me close this. Yeah, there we go. Get crushed or to pan with Aaron. Okay, thank you. I need to pick up a fair amount of material over there at the mill. The stuff that we got from Jeff's visits, not much in the way of gold. We've got some pyrites, and an interesting location had a lot of silver stuff in it. Not masses, but it really floated very, very well. Okay. And usually what I do is I have a pan and put water in it, and then I just kind of sprinkle the crushed ore in so that it goes in and wets itself. And it left clumps of silver rafts floating around. I'm thinking galena. Galena often has a lot of silver in it, but I don't know. That mine is, according to the little records he had, reputed to have some lead in it. So galena makes a lot of sense, but get some interesting stuff. But I do need to get you some stuff that has good gold in it so that you can really see it work. That's important. The concentrates I get from the sluice really make it easy to see. And so that's why I spent a little time on the panning technique, because it's so enormous amounts there that you can really see what's happening. It's pretty obvious when you're tapping, all of a sudden the top just turns yellow. So as that made it well. So I thought it would be helpful to show the panning technique as well as just for cleaning out the sluice and checking it out. But yeah, I need to get some more of that. Probably be Wednesday before we can get out there. Today we had something impromptu showed up. I was sitting here in the morning just looking at mindless dribble on the internet, and Lauren called up, says, "What you doing?" I said, "Sitting here looking at a computer." And he goes, "You want to go help me for a couple hours?" And he had a job where the second hand really makes it a whole lot easier and faster. And he was kind of pushing a little bit of a deadline. So even I got up, we went up in the mountains. It's a very pretty place up there and everything, and helped him put in a leach field. And we were shooting grade and leveling grade while he was digging the trenches so we could put these things in. And we had a good time. We really had a fun time. Can't show you much about it because I don't know if the owner would care or not. So, but what I took is something that, the pictures that I have, very little, don't really show anything identifiable anyway. So anyhow, say we need to crush up those samples, the kryptonite, the vein samples, and also I dropped a lot of rock in the 40-foot level. It's probably 4 feet thick at least, the muck pile there. And the question is, what grade does it run? So we took some sample of that too, so we can process that and see whether it makes sense to continue putting any focus on Montana B. Okay. Maybe one of those things that just the grade's not there right now, so just put it in your back pocket and forget about it while you do other things. We'll see. But those samples are pretty important in terms of what those results are. And let me turn on the AC right now. It's starting to warm up. The weather here has been rather variable.
No.
So we've done anything from trying to keep from freezing to sweating a bit. By the way, the old geezer down that decline, that was tiring walking up 50 steps. By the way, those steps are 1 foot apart, the rungs on that ladder. So every load we hauled out of there was 50 feet of ladder climbing and 50 feet back down to get the next one. So, yeah, I'm feeling my age. I'm going to whine. So, I said, those samples are important. We have a lot of stuff from top of the hill in the mystery dump we can process. We have a lot from Montana B we can process. Hey, Red Wing. So we got lots to do at the mill. And it's not that critical to push the field work at the present time. We will be dumping the current batch of stuff in the agitation tank sometime this week and then refilling the tank. And I say, well, we got lots and lots of stuff to keep us busy. And the little side trip with Lauren today was kind of fun. Just it's nice to have a life where someone can call you up at, what was it, 10 o'clock? Let's see what time he did call me. Let's see. 10:40 a.m. Yep. Called me up at 10:40, said, hey, I could use some help on something. And you can just go, sure, want to come along, little one? Boom. I said, how soon before you pick me up? And he said, about 2 minutes. And we were just about ready. We both had to tie our shoes yet, but we managed to hit the road. And oh, I don't know. Old fart just doesn't sound. How about geezer? Geezer mining. How's that? Eva also hasn't spent much time watching an excavator work, and she found it interesting. Soil was not ideal. It was not potato dirt. Sometimes, not too much, but he was banging it up a little bit on the rock in places, and he also had to get it at some pretty weird angles. Old folk miners, yeah, it's not bad. Old farter miner, that's not bad. You just go OFM, and then if anyone's curious, you tell them. Just saying, let me get me an energy shot here. Oh man, that was a lot of work this weekend. Goodness gracious. Oh. Well, I wasn't making it all the way up to the top without taking a break, Rock. I'll tell you. So I started getting a little annoyed when he would see me stop 10 feet from the collar and she's like, "Are you okay?" It's like, I keep stopping at the same place. It's just a long ladder. So, anyhow, there was something I was thinking about. Oh, yeah. On the Sasquatch thingy or aliens or whatever. The thing that was interesting and peculiar was not that the tree was damaged, but no other trees were damaged. That one tree was severely damaged, as half a dozen major limbs or something, all on the same side, were snapped and broken off, not just cracked and hanging there, but ripped off. There was no claw marks. There was no tracks on the ground. No soils, no large thing like, say, the top of the tree broke off and fell down, laying there amongst all the branches. It just wasn't apparent whatever the violence was. Now, there was a couple other places up there where I saw like one branch or another on a different small tree or whatever that had been damaged. So, yeah, I guess clearly there was some kind of wind up there at some time, but wow, that one tree just took a beating, and we've been looking at that tree for years. There was no apparent disease involved. Rock says, did you notice that the side where the limbs were broken on was open to the wind? The rest of the tree was sheltered. I'd say ice and snow buildup followed by wind.
I had considered that, Rock, but first of all, there was no sign that there was that amount of ice and snow up there. Second, it had happened in the last couple of days, 3 days max. And if it were ice and snow, there would still have been evidence.
Okay. Were you able to hear that,
there
Rock?
There were a lot of other trees in the area that would have been more exposed.
Yeah, there were other trees that were more exposed and stuff. That's kind of weird. We considered the snow and ice buildup thing, but again, you would have thought, well, this one tree here and that one over there or something like that. Yeah, there was, but the last snow was about 3 days ago and was around 2 feet in some areas. But
it was not up there, and the soil did not indicate that there had been that much snow up there.
It had only been like 2 days before, and there's nothing laying around. So, yeah, I say it. You might be correct, but it would be some weird kind of phenomenon that focused it on that one tree. I don't know. Say that was, that's exactly what I'd expect to see from snow and ice accumulation. But have you ever seen it happen on one tree in a forest?
And no signs, no water logging in the ground, no other signs?
Yeah. You vote for Bullwinkle, Brian? Well, there was no rub marks either, but yeah, that's, we were thinking, we got grizzly bears, we got elk. That area doesn't have moose, but it's basically like an elk. And, there was no tracks on the ground. Jackalope, ooh, didn't think of that one. Hey, Brock, have you ever seen snow and ice damage like that on one tree? Like maybe an area just got built up and then it, fell down and took those branches with it, but nothing else around there. No, too high for bison there. I mean, some of the branches were broken like 12 feet up.
And no bears either.
Yeah.
Not bear country.
I say it's not bear country, but even then, there's no tracks of anything. Bear, elk, moose, aliens, Bigfoot, woolly mammoth. Yeah, no woolly mammoth tracks. Didn't see any of those. And the ground was pretty soft around there. Soft enough that I had trouble with the truck getting stuck. I had to manipulate a few things to get it unsticked. Okay, so you've actually seen where a single tree in a large number of trees would be the only one damaged then. I mean, that's the only non-weird explanation I get.
Yeah, because there were no signs that there was that much snow and ice.
Yeah,
there was not enough moisture
that's
for there to have been that much.
I agree that this was not the time of the year for snow and ice buildup to tear down trees. But microburst, can they be that confined, Chris? That's what I'm wondering. On multiple trees. Okay, I understand what you're saying, Rock. One tree. Bunches of similar trees all in the vicinity. This is the only one that had that kind of damage. That was the weird thing. Yeah.
Literally.
Chris says microbursts can be the size of essentially one tree. Rock is voting aliens. Some people say alien Bigfoot, and if nothing else, there's a good movie there.
I said joyriding drunk aliens on spring break.
Yeah. Yeah. Eva says joyriding drunk aliens on spring break. But anyhow, I say that was just kind of a weird phenomenon. We thought we'd throw it out there and go, WTF, man? What up here? It's bizarre. But say when it comes to Bisquick being lethal to rats. Oh my goodness. That's hilarious.
I am still pissed that I did not read the ingredients before we wasted $8.63.
That's okay, little one.
No, it's not.
But anyhow, as I say, I still would like some testing lab to test the LD50 of Bisquick on rats. Just to see what kind of a monkey wrench that throws into the regulatory apparatus. Cake mix. I mean, how many of those mixes are self-rising? And how many of them would be lethal to rats? And of course, that's kind of the major screening test for, preliminary screening test for toxicity. Oh, that would be hilarious.
Well, the next time somebody says you can't stop eating carbs and there's nothing wrong with soybean oil, I'll just say I don't eat rat killer. Sorry.
Gary says New York pizza works too. We did. There is a company now. What's the name of it again?
King Arthur.
King Arthur.
They're woke, but they're not too bad yet.
Okay, King Arthur makes a reasonable keto flour that's low in carbs and works like flour. As a matter of fact, you have to add a little sugar to get it to rise. And we made a couple of keto pizzas, and with the idea of taking the leftovers with us. That worked out really well. Another thing I found, because when we go on these trips, sometimes we don't know how many days, and we want to have plenty of food, and sometimes you want this, sometimes. So we'll oftentimes have a little extra food. And one thing that I make is a keto French toast. You know, it's like 1 gram of carbs per slice of French toast and tastes quite well. Quite often we bring some home with us. Well, this morning I thought, I wonder if I put this in a toaster, worked just fine. It tasted real good. So that was nice. Um, just these little things we keep finding out. Oh, let's see. That's basically it this week. I don't think we're going to do any field trip. We will have to take a look to see whether top of the hill is even accessible. Brian's actually running the 80F right now. The At an elevation of over 7,000 feet, it's entirely possible that snow will keep us out for now. And so we'll focus on running the mill and waiting for the assays to come back on Montana B, and then decide because Montana B, the next thing to do is a lot of hauling. And that little winch we have is not designed for a high intensity use. So we shall see what we shall see. But I say my thought is right now just focus on the mill. We got plenty of stuff stockpiled.
Hopefully we got the assay.
Might have to put a fan. Well, it's out there in the wind. You need a windlass. Well, we're kind of up on the side of a mountain, which makes it real annoying. If we weren't, we could easily use the quad as a power source. Just run the cable to the quad and go back and forth. And we put an ice block on one of ours. I can imagine, Brian. So let's say the geyser is kind of a limiting factor in how fast you can haul ore too. But say we shall see what we shall see. We got the samples. We got the breakthrough done. Just a lot of material has to be dug out before we get to the next step and see whether or not that makes sense. We'll have to consider it. And but in the meantime, we got plenty to do over at the mill. And another thing, we smelted down the concentrates. Okay, Chris, explain. Let me see here. Windlass, Landlass. Well, the kind where you just wrap the rope around it and pull. I see him for $350. Okay. Just a drum with multiple wraps. Yeah. It's the getting a motor up there with the gearbox, gear motor up there with the drum and this, that, and the other. And then Eva's, she can handle the winch okay, just push buttons, but the windlass would be a little bit trickier. Yeah, it would work, but so would a better winch. It sucks when you're doing everything on the cheap. But anyhow, as I was saying, The gravity concentrates from the batch that we have in the tank at the mill now, we smelted them. Yeah, it's not the cable length, it's the motor that's the problem, Chris. It just overheats. But uh, I say we smelted down those gravity cons, and we got a very interesting lead button. Um, it's kind of frosted on the top, very shiny on the sides, broke clean, etc. But it's got these little projections on the top, and I'm thinking that we could do that. It's long enough, Chris. Um, I'm thinking that what we're seeing there is native copper because we could see in the panned cons copper, red chunks of copper there. And so at the temperature we're operating, I don't think the copper would fully fuse. And therefore, it was just floating on the lead inside the cone mold um, to, as I say, it gives like a frosting, but it's a coarser texture than just like a matte surface or something. It's definitely got projections sticking up, although they're very small, but they're just about the size of those copper flakes and chunks that I was seeing. So I think that's what we got there. But Eva's got you got the lead button, but you haven't Qpelled it yet, right?
Yeah, I believe that's one we can tell already. And you've got the bead that needs to be parted.
Well, how many grams was the bead?
Like 5.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
It was 5 even.
five even grams. Yeah, then we need to part that one. That's right. That's where we're at. Yes, exactly, Brian. I have no idea, Chris. We weren't looking for antimony, and we got no uh, reports from Hiddle indicating there was any antimony issues observed.
This is not the first time I've
Aside from that, I don't know.
That either.
I say, okay, honey bunny. Excuse accepted.
I've gotten a few other buttons that did that.
Where were they from?
Montana B.
You got some from Montana B too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that is the third button I've gotten like that.
Okay. I don't know. But anyhow, we shall figure it out. Looked kind of weird, but okay. Wow.
Maybe Chris would know where to get some good sources on the different, how to go about making different shaped bismuth crystals, because I want to make those those bismuth dragonflies.
Okay.
I want to make bismuth crystals.
Anyhow, Eva says she wants to make bismuth crystals, and see the various stuff on that. She may be. Do you have the expertise, Chris, so that she can play with that a bit?
Oh, it's not difficult.
Wow, that's pretty significant, honey bunny. She says entire forests are flattened and a major 5-line high tension system at 5 towers in a row go down in a tornado. Was it a derecho type thing, or was it a bunch of thunderstorms? I know they were looking at derechos a little bit ago too. And a supercell, huh? Yeah. They don't call them supercells for nothing. Chris says he hasn't done too much with it, but you can cast it with care.
Well, what I want to make is dragonfly.
Bismuth Smith is the go-to.
Okay.
Apparently, there's some guy named Bismuth Smith
Okay.
that's the expert. That's on YouTube, I presume, Chris.
Okay.
So he sells bismuth. Does he have a YouTube channel or just Google him? Just Google it. Okay. Got it. Here, let me just do it right now here. Bismuth Smith.
I'm doing it right now.
Okay, then you can bookmark it too.
Bismuth Smith Company.
Okay.
Oh, wow. An elephant.
Apparently, she's excited.
Oh, they're turtles.
Are there moles? Do they have moles?
No, I'm not seeing moles. I'm upset. There are no moles so far. Wow, that looks like a phoenix. There's a bear. A bismuth bear.
We keep all our old cupels, honey bunny. We haven't got around to doing anything with them yet. Let's see, is there anything else in the way of news? Oh, I think I mentioned it earlier, but yeah, the Sierra Plaster really came in handy this weekend. The metallurgist at the Red Lake mine told Brock Butcher that antimony in the flotation suppresses gold recovery in the circuit. He asked us to tell him when we saw pods of stibnite.
I haven't seen anything.
Foo turtles? I don't know about foo turtles. They're bismuth turtles. No, bunny. Been busy. Plus, I suspect there's still snow. They got 2 feet of snow up there last week. Well, of course, Rock. That's the way it always is. How many shots? 4 shots. Sometimes multiple holes. Usually multiple holes. That hard quartzite wall rock is just pain in the butt. I've got a whole bunch of drill bits to sharpen now. Montana B on the decline there. Yeah, I wore out. I started with a bunch of pretty much fresh bits that I resharpened them. One of the negatives of the 2 fluted carbide tipped bits is that they've only got 2 and others have more and they can go a little longer. But when you're going to wear them the frick out, like I do, guaranteed, then the 2 flutes are easier to resharpen, which is what's critical to economy. Neither one. It's that same perpendicular vein we've been on for a while. It's just the way I was driving the decline. The wall rock kind of encroached a bit, and it was ideal to keep going straight so that we occluded less of the drift we were going into. I'm just a psychic, Jeff. I sharpen your bits about once every 3 hours of drilling. Yeah, well, my masonry bits that I'm using in this stuff will dull and, well, I've tried just using 1 bit, cooling it and like that and seeing how much I can get out of it. 3 to 5 inches of penetration before the bit is all dulled. Well, in order to keep the line of the ladder track straight and to fill, you know, to get where it's, I'm not drilling with water, Brian, but I am just using them for 7 seconds each and then setting them to the side to cool. That's why I've got dozens of bits. And then, I just go through the rotation again. 7 seconds with a Hilti hammer drill. So it's not a lightweight hammer drill. Maybe not the best in the world, but it's pretty good quality. Not on this, it doesn't, Mr. Virtue. I was getting as little as a 1/4 inch of penetration in 7 seconds. Then switching bits, getting another 1/4 inch. Darn right it does, Rock. Lots of things are better than what I'm doing. They also cost more money and generally require permits. I say it's just you go to the party with who you brung, so to speak. And that's what we got right now. We find a good ore body, lots of money coming in, the budget goes up. I could provide the bug sprayer to cool the bit. I think I tried actually just pouring water in before, but plus, can you hold 120 pounds up while standing in a ladder and shaft? Only if the 120 pounds is me, Rock. Yeah, that was a little less than ideal there, hanging on that ladder. These are not hollow bits. I mean, I'm only drilling 5/16 inch holes too. I mean, that's the thing. It's not like I'm drilling. No, I think they're 10 millimeter, more like a 3/8 inch hole. But nevertheless, these are not large diameter holes. These are pretty small diameter holes with a good, powerful drill, which is why it wears the mountain like 5 inches. But that seems to be I say the best I've come through so far is whatever bits the guy at Sierra Blaster sells were the best price for longer bits and stuff, and they've held up better than anything. I even used a Hilti 4-insert bit, and I burnt it up, in about the same amount of time. It's 4 times as expensive. The guy from Sierra Blaster sent me a test bit that was from some German company that said, these are super hard carbides and specifically designed for those super tough applications. Yeah, it lost it about an inch before the carbides shattered.
Because it gets too hot.
Yep. Bosch bits, huh? Yep, exactly, honey bunny. It's too hard. This stuff is tough. It's not just the hardness, it's just tough. It takes a licking and keeps on ticking, which is why I can't damage it effectively with the big Hilti. I mean, if it was reasonable rock, that big Hilti demolition hammer will put the hurt to it. You saw me knocking that stuff down at the bottom of that decline. That's not soft rock. That's not hard rock there in general, but it's fractured, a little bit fractured there. And of course, being the back of a tunnel that was no doubt drilled and blasted, it's been tenderized a bit. But goodness. Yeah, pretty much rock. So, I found out that the most economical thing is to just have my grinder with me and a diamond lapping blade on it, and just go ahead and sharpen them. It doesn't take but about, I don't know, 10 or 15 seconds to, uh, you know, sharpen one of those bits. If you got a bunch of them set up and you're just flip it over, and keep going. So as I say, I've just found up till now, that's the best thing in order to, I just have enough drill bits to keep them cool. Say drill about 7 seconds at a time, set it to the side, grab another one, work through about a dozen of them, and then start over again. When they get too dull, set that one off to the side, and then when I get enough of them, get out the grinder, and ding, ding. I pretty much got to do them all now. Yep. Exactly, Rock. I'm saying if you were drilling through like concrete, it would probably be pretty easy, unless it was a really special aggregate. Yeah, that's why I change them every seventh, and not just change one for the other. Say I have like a dozen of them in rotation. So I'll drill one for 7 seconds, put it on another stack, do it again, do it again, do it again, and then start all over again. And they've had time. When I can sit there and grip it and it doesn't burn me, that's pretty cool. For tungsten carbide, should be fine. Yeah, it is some tough stuff. Hey, Rock, while you're here, there's a guy in Florida that says he's got some corundum rock. Now, I know corundum is sapphire and stuff like that, but I don't know. Is there any kind of a rock that sounds like the word corundum? That could be a more common material? Because there's nobody that has wall rock of corundum. I say, but that's is there anything he could be getting this confused with, in your opinion? Because it just doesn't make sense. Not a rock. Carborundum is an artificial material. Silicon carbide, I believe. When you say bulk non-gemmy carborundum, are you talking like wall rock out of it, or just like veinlets, or what, Chris? I'm sure you can always get non-gem quality stuff. But
you like our garnet?
Yeah. We saw some garnet today that's just solid polycrystalline garnet. Warren knows where there's a mountain of the stuff. Yeah, I know in Montana we have sapphires. Okay. All right, Rock, I'll let him know. Interesting. You've never heard of carborundum being matrix with gold in it, though, have you? Just not. Again, I'm perplexed here. Metamorphic, huh? Strange stuff. I'll be glad when I get the actual. We're also going to work on. Is it OBS we're getting, little one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, we're getting OBS this summer. We'll be able to operate multiple people at the same time and such, which will be really cool when we got people like Chris and Rock that have a lot of knowledge, and people like Oh, good. Brian, who's actually doing experiments. Is that placer or hard rock, Chris? A rock says if he has corundum in matrix with gold, that would be very rare. Ancient gold deposit at the Bidman or Orphos. This would be in.
I think it's up in.
I think it's Georgia.
Area.
Yeah, and the whatever gold that.
The Drogheda.
No, it's not Drogheda. Dahlonega.
Yeah, Dahlonega.
Dahlonega gold belt.
Up in Georgia.
You know. So, anyhow, oh, we're also going to be doing some dowsing tests with Eva this summer too. Well, with me too. I mean, as well. But we'll get some kind of standardized testing we can check out and go from there. Oh, but yeah, loads of fun stuff to do. Just tired. Goodness, I don't know why. Climbing. I don't know how many times up and down the ladder in a day. At least 20, right?
Well, let me see. At least 12 round trips that I know of. And each round trip is 5 flights of stairs.
No, I'm just saying how many trips per day.
Yeah, per day, at least 12 that I know of.
At least 12. So
and
that would be at least 600 feet. Yeah. So, yeah, I've climbed at least a quarter mile of ladder this weekend. Yeah, let's say I don't know. Also, for those watching last week, Alex. Oh, by the way, Rock, did you find anything out about Alex? Did anything work out there? Yeah, you bet, Rock. But where Lauren's working, if they get their permits, they can probably use Alex for core splitting. Thank you, Rock. He seems to be a good kid. Okay, we've met him a couple of times personally. Seems to be very outgoing and generous and stuff. Seems to have a good head on his shoulders. Very, very interested in rocks in general too. So yeah, hopefully he'll get something here soon. Yeah, the probable date for getting information on the permitting at where Lauren's at will be in a week or two. And if that comes up, then we'll see what we can maybe do with Alex. This is pretty country up there, and it's not too far from where Alex lives, so it shouldn't be too bad. He can probably get there 90 minutes. Yeah, I understand, Rock. So, I say it's just one of those things. I'm thinking, what do you see in the mining industry right now, Rock? I'm guessing that people are cruising along as usual, doing about the normal thing, but getting ready to duck one way or the other, depending upon how the regulatory environment goes in the next year or two. Of course, I'm inside the United States, so it may not be very significant anywhere else. What is your kind of perspective on that? because I would think, yeah, that's my thought. People are waiting to see which way the dice fall before placing their bets, and that's kind of my guess. But things could go dramatically either way here in the short term. Um, it's kind of my experience that mining is pretty cyclical. Well, when you look around the rest of the world, you go, yeah, I know why the price is up, and it's not because things are stable. What was that guy's name? Dr. Raghavan at the Arizona uh, School of Mines. I was talking to him one time, and he gave me what I thought was some very good advice. I said, I would like to become an extractive metallurgist or a mining engineer. He says, no, you don't want to do that. I said, why? He says, it's a very cyclical industry. If you want to be an extractive metallurgist, get a degree in materials science with a minor in extractive metallurgy or an emphasis in extractive metallurgy. He says, that'll give you, the shot at any extractive metallurgist job. But if the industry is in the doldrums, which it will be regularly, material scientists, hell, you can get yourself a job at a steel plant or construction materials, an aggregate plant or all kinds of stuff. And now Rock says, I told Alex to stop looking for jobs with big companies and to start looking at consulting firms that need strong backs and newbies to help out. Big companies don't hire newbies. Makes sense.
Yeah, basically that or getting a job at the state, which he doesn't want to do.
Yeah. So anyhow, but I thought Dr. Raghavan's advice was good, is don't specialize any more than you have to. Because the more restrictive qualification is just that, more restrictive. A more general one, as long as you've got good strengths in that field, would be more advantageous because you can do other stuff. I also know that a lot of companies don't like to hire people who've got large breaks in their employment history.
Lon sent pictures of rocks.
Lon sent pictures of rocks here. Okay. Looks either metamorphic or igneous. I don't know. We're going to try something here, Rock.
Good luck with that. Hi, everybody.
Let's see. Here is a picture of a rock. This is the guy from Florida. Boy, isn't it helpful? Okay, Brian, what are the results? Of course not, Rock. It's just a picture. You need to see the damn rock.
I'm going to ask you if he can mail us a pound of rocks.
For 80 degrees, the glycine is in 50 seconds. It's still doing, it's got 166% of the time of the other. Yeah.
By the way,
the
reason I'm going to be running a test of things without oxidizers is because the phrase "it takes too long" is not quantitative.
Okay. The phrase without oxidizers is "it doesn't happen."
Okay.
It's like aqua regia without the regia part. That's just hydrochloric acid or nitric acid. The nitric acid is the oxidizer.
Do you want me to ask him if he can send us some rocks?
It's up to you. We can sure try. We might suggest, Rock Butcher has volunteered to give him some advice or whatever. So we might check and see if he can send some to uh, Rock or something. Rock might also be able to. I know that Rock, you said sending rocks across the Kazakhstan border is a lot tougher than getting Afghanis across the U.S. border. Uh, yeah, yes, Jeff, that's what it is. Because I know trying to judge a rock by a photograph is pretty darn tough at times. I agree, Rock. Um, if you do the job, do it well, show a little initiative. That's basically all I'm talking about, Rock.
That's a pretty one. This looks like pyrite of some kind or another. Take a look at this one.
Okay, little one. She's bringing another picture. Well, I don't know about pyrites. Can't tell. Again, it's a freaking picture. See? Isn't that terribly probative? Okay. Tell him we have a world renowned / world known.
He's gonna email you some photos.
Okay. Anyhow, he's going to email me some photos so I can email them to you and you can look at those. No problem. But anyhow, I agree that most supervisors like workers who show up to do the job and don't cause troubles, not a safety issue, not a productivity issue, and then the rest is gravy. Now, the average worker is so, I guess spoiled is about as good as anything. I mean, they expect to get paid for breathing. So if you show up, do your job, and like you say, be cheerful. I mean, I'm sure Lauren was really happy with how excited Eva was today. She did a great job. We were shooting grades, and I was leveling the ground in the bottom of the trenches he was digging for the leach field. And
for a septic system.
Well, everyone knows what a leach field is. But anyhow, and so she was, using the rod. It's an automatic rod. It tells you high, low, on grade. But he had it set for like 1/8 of an inch. So she was doing the rod, and I was doing the fine grading and stuff. And she did a fine job. And she just had a wonderful time up there. It was so cool. We both had a good time.
Of course, I had a wonderful time. Why wouldn't I?
And
I got rocks.
She got paid in rocks. I got money, but man.
I got rocks.
Yeah, it was, honey bunny. He had it set pretty precise, but he said he wanted those the leach field to have the proper gradient.
See. Show him. I got rocks. And I know y'all are jealous of my rocks. Mine. Nobody can have them.
Okay, it's on the desk there on the corner, little one. But anyhow, so I said we had a fun day before we even got to the live stream today. She did a fine job. Could be, Chris. Looks like malachite to me, but pretty porous. plastic arch stuff, Jeff. And that was pretty easy, which was good because it was a really confined area. We dig one trench, put the plastic arches in, bury that trench because he needed the room for the next one. So when we left, all the arches were in. Yeah, infiltrators. That's right. And then he should be up there right now, actually putting the pipes in. All the infiltrators are installed. The septic tank was already there, so all he's got to do is cut the hole in the septic tank and do the plumbing. And he's going to do some like concrete, um, some dry set concrete there to hold everything uh, at nice steady elevation. But it was kind of fun. We got to help out a friend and do something different. I've never used infiltrators before. Same deal, Brian. You got to have the oxidizer or something to kick that reaction over the critical energy, I think they call it. Something like that. Oh, here's another one. Chris, saw a YouTube video. Some woman, foreign name, I forgot. I think it was kind of Chinese, but from the United States, claims to have developed an engine because it burns the fuel. It's a thing that basically by heating up a substance that either A has sodium in it or the flame itself does, whatever. The whole critical thing is it produces almost all the energy in the sodium yellow, which allows you to fine tune your photovoltaic cells to convert that to electricity. And it's claiming something of like currently having a 60% energy conversion from the chemical energy of the fuels to electricity, and some kind of theoretical maximum of like 80%. And I'm a bit skeptical, but it's an interesting thought experiment. Because to burn a fuel, usually you use it to drive an engine, which then drives a generator. This doesn't require that. I wouldn't put money on that right now. My spidey sense is saying either she's a little bit over enthusiastic about her own invention, or she's promoting something that sounds good but isn't necessarily that good.
Oh, gee, Bear, that would never happen.
Okay, Brian, I see it.
Okay.
Does it have a conversion kit for putting the water in it? By the way, I need I think it's a 10 millimeter. I think a 3/8 is pretty close. Yes, fuel cells are a known maximum at this point. Yep. Okay, Brian. Again, I need a 10 millimeter, I believe. I believe that's what it's set, it's designed for, although I think I might be able to get by with a 3/8. Not sure. But yeah, Chris, you can tell Aaron at Sierra Blaster that, yeah, it saved my bacon this weekend. You can still see drill holes and plastic cartridges in the side there. Correct, Jeff. She's burning, I presume it's either hydrogen or most likely just natural gas to make yellow light. Yep, sodium yellow, to activate photovoltaic chips that are specifically designed to convert that particular wavelength of light. Yeah. Well, it worked fine for me, Chris. So, yep, without it, I've been kind of screwed this weekend. Instead, I got the minimum tasks completed. Would like to have got more material moved, but nope. No, actually, the photovoltaic cells for that one wavelength are apparently pretty standard. I mean, it's not hard to do. They've already done it, that part of it. But I say, I'm wondering, do you have to like inject salt into the flame? What's the conversion of heat to sodium yellow light? Hey, Rock. See, I don't know. One would think that you're going to be, getting a lot of other stuff there. Yeah, if they got a smaller one, I might be able to use it, Brian, but I don't know. That's going to be a pretty small bit to run a hole down the middle of, too. I say what I need. And I got to have it because that's the size of the cartridge. Although I think somebody makes bigger cartridges, too. Whatever. I don't know. That's an interesting thought, Honey Bunny. So just using a solar concentrator to heat sodium vapor. That's an interesting idea. Honey Bunny came up with an idea. Remember that thing I showed the sodium? She says if you use sodium vapor and redirected sunlight might work. The reason for the yellow, Gary, sodium is very good at emitting almost all its energy in two very specific wavelengths that are close together. It's called, coincidentally enough, sodium yellow.
Like those disgusting.
Do you make them yourself or for sale, Brian? I have been replaced.
Hi, everybody. Brian, he wants to know if you make your cartridges for yourself or for sale. I think he's looking for bigger things to blow things up with. Hi, Rock Butcher. Yeah, I wondered about why yellow as well, Gary.
Well, most elements.
Hi, Honey Bunny. Hello, Mr. Virtue. So, it has been an absolutely, totally, and completely uneventful week, except for the rat. The goddess is beyond displeased by this, people. 20% of my crucible strategic stockpile wiped out in one horrific incident. I had 10 crucibles. I now have 8 crucibles. This is not good, okay? This is really not good. Hurry up, dude. You gotta update my number back there. And then, after we spent a ridiculous amount of money, dude over there says, well, yeah, rats can't burp. Well, thank you for telling me that, genius.
Decon had a poison in it.
Yeah, I figured decon would have a poison in it too. Silly, silly me. No clue. But at any rate, yeah, 2 crucibles and a pint canning jar. Those things cost over $1 a piece now. The pint canning jars. Don't even ask what crucibles cost. Grr. I swear when I catch that animal.
No, you won't catch it. You'll throw its carcass out.
Yeah. I'm very, very annoyed about
Okay.
that.
What do you want me to write?
It's 34733-022.
733?
773, excuse me. 022. Oh, 023, sorry. It's moving faster than light again. Anywho, yeah. The fairy god scientist giveth, and the fairy god scientist taketh away. So if anybody happens to have any used, like fire, ordinary crucibles that like are not totally dead yet, I still cannot believe that. I am so annoyed. At any rate, other than that, we had an amazing day today with Lauren. Thank you again, Lauren. I love my rocks. And in case you missed it, there was a rather amusing thing that happened the other day. Our former president, Donald John Trump, along with a few other people, went to speak to the libertarians at their convention. The goddess has some doubts about the current state of the Libertarian Party. Be that as it may. The libertarians, of course, online were saying, oh, this is such an unprecedented opportunity. Finally, a mainstream party member, a presidential candidate, and a former president actually acknowledged we're alive. We finally get the chance to ask mainstream candidates questions and speak to them about policy positions, yada yada, blah blah. And the whole thing devolved into a raucous booing and catcalling session. What else is new? Oh, but the libertarians have chosen their candidate now. I believe his name is Chase something or other. He's a really skinny beta male who wears lots of rainbows, and he believes in DEI, and he believes in open borders, and he believes in rights for dudes in dresses and dudes in dresses playing sports with chicks and dudes in dresses and chicks' bathrooms and little kids being given horrific surgeries and life altering medications when they're not even old enough to get tattoos, you know. So just your totally average, ordinary, everyday libertarian. Isn't that lovely? Yeah. That's not gonna go all that well, you know. Rock, if I had a local assay lab here, I would be asking. Unfortunately, we lack an assay lab. That's why we mail everything off to Mr. Hiddle in Colorado. And believe me, if I were made of money, if the goddess had hot and cold running money and had won a lottery or something, and I was doing precision work, I'd be throwing them out too. Or at least I would be putting them aside to be used in non precision work after the fact. Okay? Honey bunny, the way those libertarians were talking about and worshiping the ground that this yo yo, who by the way had a rainbow Gadsden flag on his profile, the way the libertarians were worshiping him and saying he'd be the perfect president to get us out of this mess, yeah. I'd say the liberals are probably more conservative than your average libertarian. Okay, just saying. Well, if the very god scientist would ever give me a lab that was slightly more advanced than the one Benjamin Franklin had, I might would be doing some assays. Kind of hard to do assays when you don't have a scale that's precision. But anyway, be that as it may, BHP and Rio Tinto to fast track electric haul truck trials. The goddess has to wonder about this because it seems to me that it may just be my imagination, of course, but it seems to me there have been an awful lot of cases in the news in the last couple of years of the batteries in these things just like spontaneously catching fire and shit, and you can't put them out. And they're very, very nasty, toxic waste. But apparently, BHP and Rio Tinto are fast tracking electric haul truck trials. Wow. Talk about the size of of a battery you'd need. BHP and Rio Tinto, the world's two largest miners, have partnered to accelerate the first trial of Komatsu and Caterpillar large battery electric haul truck technology. Ooh. The tests to be run at the company's massive iron ore mines in the Pilbara region of Western Australia will focus on performance and productivity, they said. The plan is part of BHP and Rio Tinto's larger efforts to lower their operational emissions and reach net zero by 2050. Totally gonna happen. Absolutely. Goddess is 100% sure. Caterpillar and Komatsu will each provide 2 trucks to both mining giants for these trials. BHP will trial the Caterpillar trucks while Rio Tinto will test the Komatsu trucks. The CAT 793 trucks trials will begin in the second half of 2024. The 2 Komatsu 930 haul trucks will be tested from 2026. There is no clear path to net zero without zero emissions haulage.
My guess is
I wonder if
the
using
Komatsu burns up second.
I wonder if using people wearing loincloths and carrying ore buckets on their shoulders would count as zero emission. It worked in ancient Egypt. Maybe. Just saying. It's important we work together to get there as quickly and efficiently as we can, Rio Tinto iron ore boss Simon Trott said in a statement. Operational decarbonization, oh dear Lord, relies on breakthroughs in technology, and partnerships like this will help us drive our industry forward, BHP's Australia President Geraldine Slattery said separately. Why did I just know there was going to be a chick involved in here somewhere? The companies noted they'd already achieved reductions in Scope 1 and 2 operational greenhouse gas emissions through switching some of their power supply to renewable sources. We're looking to build on that progress through development of battery electric technology to reduce diesel usage across our operations, Slattery said. Both miners believe testing 2 types of battery haul trucks in Pilbara conditions will provide better data and accelerate learning. Yeah. Okay. This is not the miners' first initiative with Caterpillar and Komatsu. In 2021, the 4 companies joined forces to develop and validate prototype battery electric haul trucks. Before that, BHP, Rio Tinto, and Vail launched a program to encourage the development of new concepts for battery-powered large-scale haul trucks. Rio and BHP have also partnered with BlueScope Steel, Australia's largest steel maker, to try producing green iron by 2027.
Green iron.
Green iron. Diesel consumption in Rio Tinto's mining equipment and rail fleet was responsible for 12% of its Scope 1 and 2. Those occurred through mining operations and power consumption, respectively, emissions in 2023. Diesel combustion accounted for about 40% of BHP's Scope 1 and 2 emissions during the 2020 fiscal year. So the great green bullshit continues. This could be very, very interesting. Professor Hardrock,
Yeah.
you're the physics and math type person. The goddess does not have physics in her worldview. Would there be a formula somewhere to determine just how long one of these haul trucks will burn when the battery decides to spontaneously combust before the truck becomes a puddle of molten metal? I mean, is there math on this?
Hey, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky. How are you?
No, the time you can't tell. The amount of energy released you can.
That would be interesting science right there. Just saying.
Well, it's the same energy. If they were to have anywhere near the same range, which in my opinion they won't, one of those big haul trucks has like a, this is 793.
Yeah, it says 793.
I think that carries about an 800-gallon diesel tank.
It's going to be great. J.P. Morgan Says BHP plan risks $4.3 billion South African outflow. A successful takeover of Anglo American PLC under the arrangements BHP Group offered could lead to outflows of $4.3 billion from South Africa, according to a JP Morgan and Chase company analysis. Such an outflow, if a deal goes ahead, could weaken the rand, which has gained 4.4% against the dollar, the most of 16 major currencies tracked by Bloomberg over the last 5 weeks. The deal, proposed by BHP and rejected by Anglo, good for them, would involve Anglo distributing its holdings in South African iron ore and platinum units to shareholders. That, according to JP Morgan South African mining analyst Catherine Cunningham, would lead to developed market investor index funds selling unbundled stocks, resulting in an outflow. Okay. Tisk, tisk, tisk. I am very much unamused by the shenanigans that these bankers are playing these days, but what else is new? Okay. As we all know, things are getting a little bit bizarre in the financial world. Just a little bit, you know. Economics 101. Government tinkering with prices is like hiding all the street signs. Totally. In case you missed it, by the way, we all need to celebrate this week. Lord Malarkey announced on the platform formerly known as Twitter that our grocery prices have gone down. Yay! The chocolate ration has been increased too. And we've always been at war with East Asia. You have to remember these things. We must all thank the great Lord Malarkey in Mordor on the Potomac for lowering our grocery prices. Just saying. Governments constantly tinker with prices. Government people claim it's in our best interest. But price manipulation creates all kinds of unseen negative consequences. Not unknown, unseen. Sometimes governments set price ceilings, mandating the cost of something can't rise above a certain level. One example we see is price gouging laws. In extreme cases, the government will even implement price controls, like Richard Nixon did in the 1970s. Sometimes governments set price floors, such as minimum wages. After all, a wage is simply the price of labor. Another example of price manipulation we see every day is Federal Reserve interest rate policymaking. The interest rate is the price of borrowing money. That means the Fed is literally engaged in price fixing. Well, no shit, Sherlock. As economist Frederic Bastiat made clear in his essay, That Which is Seen and That Which is Not Seen, a good economist must try to account for the unseen effects of any policy. Sadly, most people aren't good economists, and that includes a lot of economists. It's easy to see the supposed benefits of wage and price controls. A minimum wage benefits workers who have jobs. Price gouging laws keep prices lower during a disaster. But what about the unseen impacts? During World War II, British civil defense workers turned around and moved street signs to confuse German troops in the event of an invasion. The U.S. Army recommends this same tactic in a 1978 manual titled Tactical Deception, Part 101. Really now. Change all traffic signs in the defensive area to confuse rapidly moving attack forces. Disable their GPS. Nobody can read maps anymore anyway. It makes sense. Changing or removing basic points of reference certainly makes it more difficult to navigate. In the same way, government tinkering with price systems makes it more difficult for markets to function. Prices serve as the street signs of the market system. They make the efficient allocation of resources possible. Economist Thomas Sowell explained the fundamental role of prices in his foundational book, Basic Economics. Excellent book. Each consumer, producer, retailer, landlord, or worker makes individual transactions with other individuals on whatever terms are mutually agreeable. Prices convey those terms, not just to the particular individuals immediately involved, but throughout the whole economic system and indeed throughout the world. If someone else somewhere else has a better product or at a lower price for the same product, the fact gets conveyed and acted upon through prices without any elected official or planning commission having to issue orders to consumers or producers, faster than any planners could assemble the information on which to base their orders. The problem is elected officials, bureaucrats, and central planners insist on issuing orders to consumers and producers anyway. They set minimum wages, price ceilings, and price floors. They subsidize some transactions and penalize others through taxation. Generally, these central planners have noble intentions. They want to eliminate some perceived unfairness or right some perceived wrong. No, they don't. But in effect, they change the street signs. This causes chaos and confusion. Inevitably, we end up with misallocations of resources. The economy becomes less efficient, markets cease to function properly, and society as a whole becomes poorer. In effect, government action distorts and obliterates the price system. And as economist Ludwig von Mises explained, prices are by definition determined by people's buying and selling or abstention from buying and selling. They must not be confused with fiats issued by governments or other agencies enforcing their orders by an apparatus of coercion or compulsion. Prices are a market phenomenon. They are generated by the market process and are the pith of the market economy. There is no such thing as prices outside the market. Prices cannot be constructed synthetically, as it were. We tend to think of markets as some kind of mechanical, faceless abstraction. In truth, the market is simply the aggregate of all voluntary exchanges. As Mises explains, the pricing process is a social process. It is consummated by an interaction of all members of society. All collaborate and cooperate, each with the particular role he has chosen for himself in the framework of the division of labor. Competing in cooperation and cooperating in competition, all people are instrumental in bringing about the result. The price structure of the market, the allocation of the factors of production to the various lines of want, satisfaction, and the determination of the share of each individual. So when you break a market, you are interfering with peaceful, voluntary association. It harms real people, forcing them to enter into transactions against their will, Obamacare, or preventing them from engaging in exchanges they desire to make. It seems beneficial on the surface, but as Bastiat implored, you have to consider the unseen to get the full picture. And yeah, of late, things are looking a little weird in the government paperwork. Some of you may have noticed this if anybody pays attention to the idea. But you never know with these people, okay? Meanwhile, a few things are going on in the world. In case you've been missing it, gold is currently at $2,354.60. Silver is at $31.80. Platinum, 1,054. Palladium, 981. And rhodium, 4,500. They're always like that. If this holds for another week, we may well have established a new floor for silver and a new floor for gold. And what's more interesting is the ratio of gold to silver is beginning to tighten just a little bit. We were for a while at about 90 to 1 silver to gold. Earlier today, we were at 75 to 1 silver to gold. So that is going really, really, really well. Yeah, Rock Butcher. That is absolutely yikes. Rock Butcher was saying in Canada, grocery stores set their prices based on the amount of profit they want to make. That sounds about right for some parts of the world. Our dearly beloved leaders like to claim that greedflation occurs here. Bearing in mind, none of our dearly beloved leaders have ever in their life actually run a business. I don't think any of them know much of anything, but then again, you know, expecting them to know much of anything
is probably a little bit outside of the boundaries there. But some interesting things are happening in cattle, of all places. In case you missed it, sometime back here, bird flu, H5N1 in this case, which I believe has been around quite a while, started making the rounds again. For some reason, this time, chicken farms are not being culled wholesale, whereas a couple of years ago, the chickens were all being burned alive by the tens and tens of millions because bird flu. Well, it turns out that this bird flu has managed to spread into cats, rats, dogs, pigs, and a whole bunch of other things, and of course, wild birds. And it also apparently has jumped into dairy cattle. And apparently, a couple of dairy workers got pink eye. Only the pink eye wasn't pink eye. The pink eye was H5N1 that happened to present as conjunctivitis. The theory here is they rubbed their eyes and got infected milk in their eyes. But now we have various government agencies that are yapping all over the place about how bird flu is spreading like wildfire through our dairy cow population, and it's showing up in the milk. And in pigs. But do not despair. According to the great gods of pharma, there's already an mRNA vaccine that is ready to be given to all of us so that we won't die from the bird flu. Just saying. Quite interesting to note that at the moment, chickens are not being culled, which is actually a good thing. And at the moment, the pigs carry the bird flu, but they're not getting very sick. And at the moment, the cows carry the bird flu, but they're not getting very sick. And at the moment, the 2 or 3 dairy workers that have tested positive for the bird flu have conjunctivitis. So the goddess is wondering about the WHO and the CDC saying that this particular strain of bird flu, H5N1, apparently has a 30% mortality rate. Quite interesting. Even more interesting is the entire notion that there's going to be an mRNA vaccine for this, both for people and for animals, so that we don't have to go into lockdown again. Isn't that lovely?
Gary, gold does have an intrinsic value, but it's less than the monetary value at the current time. You don't need it for a whole lot.
Silver has a higher intrinsic value. It has far more industrial uses.
Yep.
Not that anybody pays attention to the goddess. Buy silver. The goddess has been saying for years, oh, now this is an odd little thing that has shown up. Fauci Capo, one of Fauci's little minions, testifies to Congress. I don't even know what our ethics office does. The rest of us have that question as well, just saying. Okay, and 4.8 million HHS-produced bird flu vaccines are in the pipeline, and more Moderna mRNA shots are on the way. So just so you know, here we have all the essential elements for pandemic redux, refined in its malevolence based on lessons learned from the original. Unrelenting corporate state media fear porn, that's already beginning to ramp up. Illicit gain-of-function research paid for by public health authorities, probably. WHO on the verge of seizing global totalitarian control via pandemic treaties. And brand new flu vaccines and more are on the way. Okay? Federal health officials are ramping up efforts to combat what they claim is the growing threat of H5N1 bird flu, with plans to produce 4.8 million vaccine doses and increase influenza surveillance nationwide. The move comes as 2 new human bird flu infection cases were identified Michigan, and Australia, heightening concerns about the virus's potential spread among humans. The goddess is more worried about when they're going to start culling the food again. Because the other day, Bill Gates unwrapped his mouth from around a cheeseburger long enough to reiterate again that we all need to eat Z bugs and eat Z lab grown food that him and his buddies are producing because, gotta save the planet and all that. The goddess does find that level of hypocrisy to be very, very annoying. If you're going to be a hypocrite, at least don't be a hypocrite during your interview. At least pretend to be eating your Franken meat, 3D printed in your lab from who knows what kind of material, while you're on camera, you know. Then you can go back to eating like the rest of us when you're not. Just saying. I mean, really. The new vaccine, currently in bulk form, will be filled and finished in multi-dose vials by one of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services manufacturing partners without disrupting seasonal flu vaccine production, according to the University of Minnesota Center for Infectious Disease Research and Policy. HHS Secretary for Preparedness and Response, Dawn O'Connell, said on Wednesday active discussions are underway across federal agencies about the key triggers for deploying the H5N1 vaccine doses. Triggers could include evidence the virus is spreading to people not employed on farms, or between humans rather than solely from animal to human, or the virus is causing more severe illness in those infected. Okay. And of course, they're going to be developed by Pfizer and Moderna. Yeah. Okay. It should be noted the goddess is not going to take any vaccines. The goddess is not going to be getting any flu shots either. And I highly advise you to stock the pantry with real food because it would not surprise me in the least if these yo-yos decided to start culling our dairy herds. And I'll tell you, you don't want to try to take away the goddess's cheese. I mean, that is just not going to happen. That is not going to fly here. Meanwhile, the goddess has heard from around the country that premiums in your local coin shops are, in fact, continuing to fall. And at the same time, there seems to be an interesting bifurcation going on in how the local coin shops are dealing with buying metals from people. Because this is the time when people are starting to profit take. People that bought silver, $15, $20 ago, people who inherited some silver from grandma that's taken up some space, people that have some stuff from a while back are looking at selling it to see if they can get ahead. It has been noted that many places are paying wholesale or below wholesale, and wholesale tends to run about $1 below spot, at least for the wholesalers that my store uses here in town locally. People are paying wholesale or even below wholesale for generic products, but as is not uncommon in these types of run-ups, especially with economic uncertainty going on and uncertainty about the stability of government going on, sovereign coinage is still being bought for spot or better by a heck of a lot of people. As a matter of fact, some of it is trading at even higher prices than it used to. While the goddess is not necessarily a fan of profit taking, if you have accumulated your stock and you have accumulated your stacks over a long period of time, this is a good time to do some sort of an upgrade. My choice in doing an upgrade was, as you all know, on the last trip we took across the country, I took my herd of generic buffaloes and I upgraded them to sovereign coinage. got some great deals. All of that sovereign coinage I picked up, I actually got for break even or better, which is a good deal. I was very, very happy. We're also seeing more people that are trading silver or gold. It's the goddess's belief that as that silver to gold ratio continues to tighten, you'll see more people doing that. The trigger point for most people on that issue seems to be around 60 to 1 or lower. People I know are talking about trading some of the excess silver for gold once the ratio drops below 60 to 1, because that's where you're getting into some good territory, and that's where you can actually justify trading whole ounces for fractionals, for instance, because the main problem that most people have with gold is it's so darn valuable. This is the thing. This is something that people ask a lot, and so we're going to go over it a little bit today. How do you structure your stack? I want to take all that fiat that I got over there, and I want to shove it into silver and gold. How much silver do I buy? How much gold do I buy? What kind of these things do I buy? Well, what do you spend your money on? The average person, 80% of your purchases are going to be under a couple of $100. 80%. The other 20% is going to be higher ticket items. Very few of those items are going to be over $2,500 in a given year if you're an ordinary person. Now, if you happen to be Donald Trump, 80% of your purchases will be under $2,500, and maybe 1% of your purchases will be in the millions, because there's a difference of degree there. So for the little guys like us, you stack fractional silver, 90% US coinage. You stack ounces, generic ounces that people always recognize. You stack sovereign coinage from anywhere. The goddess does not buy American silver eagles unless they're bought secondhand, because our mint is operating illegally and is extortionate. Do not give our mint money. Give your local coin shop money. Give a private sale dude money for an American silver eagle if you want one. Don't buy that shit from the mint. No, no, no. Mint, not good people. And a couple 5-ounce, 10-ounce bars. Maybe some nice little collectibles, maybe an interesting limited edition art piece here or there. Maybe an interesting numismatic here or there. The goddess has a Carson City Morgan silver dollar. I can sell it tomorrow for what I paid for it or more because of what it is. But that's the thing. You structure a stack and you structure your holdings in metals the same way you spend money. If you're an ordinary person and most of the money you spend is little stuff, then you want fractional silver, you want fractional gold, and you want a few ounces of gold here or there, so that you've got all of your little stuff covered, some of your medium-sized stuff covered, and your very few big purchases covered. If you're somebody like Donald Trump, the owner of gold-plated toilets, well, then you're probably stacking ounces, numismatics, 10-ounce bars, maybe even a few 100-ounce bars, serious collector coins, and you're stacking a lot of gold because you buy things in bigger quantities. This is why gold is the money of banks and kings. Silver is the money of gentlemen. Barter is the money of servants and ordinary people, and debt is the money of slaves. Just saying, that's the old expression here. So when you're looking at that, look at how your stack is put together and plan your buying accordingly. If you see that you currently are holding way too many big things that will be hard to break, or that you may not be able to sell without triggering paperwork to your government in some cases, or you don't want to sell anything that large because you're trading real money for fiat currency that is going down in value every damn day, then you want to get smaller things in the house. If you see that absolutely everything you have is Roosevelt dimes, you might consider branching out a little bit. And as I said, you might consider filling the freezer as well, because let's face it, I don't trust these people not to start killing our food supply. They are that ridiculous, okay? And jewelry is great. Mr. Virtue, the goddess is a great fan of pure metal jewelry. If you're looking at it as money or you're looking at it as a trade item, you don't want something like this beautiful piece, because those labradorites are not worth jack squat in terms of trading it for food. You want, for jewelry that is going to be used as money, bot chain still exists. BAHT still exists. The molds to make bot links still exist. And the thing about bot chain is every single link is the same weight. That's why they used it as money over in Indonesia and other places, points Asian, you know, points that way, is because you can wear your savings. So when you're looking at jewelry, like say you're at an estate sale, or you're at a yard sale, or you're at the thrift shop on 50% off day, first thing in the morning, and you know that all their jewelry is going to be 50% off, you want the pieces that are solid metal, that are stamped, that do not have stones. You want just metal. Like, for instance, I was sorely tempted the last time we went to our pawn shop, because they had some very good prices on sterling silver rings and 14 karat gold rings and 12 karat gold rings. They had some great prices on them. Fantastic prices. And the thing is, all jewelry grade gold jewelry that is stamped 10 karat, 12 karat, 14 karat all follows the same general formula as to what's in it. You know how much gold is in there. So if you have a little pocket scale, you can weigh the darn thing and you can figure out whether you're getting a good buy or not. Just something to keep in mind. If you want to be able to wear your savings, get your savings in a form that does not have stones, because you're never going to get what those stones are worth. You've got a better chance with the metal here, you know? Happy birthday, Mr. Virtue. Early or late, it does not matter. Okay? And yeah, Rock, reloading equipment is also a good thing. And having the things to put in the reloading equipment is a good thing. That stuff is getting pricey as all get out lately. I don't know if any of you have priced it lately, but good grief. Reloading equipment, when you can find it, and the materials to reload when you can find them, are more expensive by far than ammunition already. But all of it is just going through the roof. It's freaking ridiculous. Bizarre and unaccountable things. But at any rate, all kinds of odd things may well happen this summer, because the media is getting a little bit bizarre and unaccountable. You may or may not have noticed this. They're beginning to act like they're a little worried that Lord Malarkey might lose the election. They haven't quite reached the point yet where they're willing to openly say that there's not going to be a legitimate election. But, you know, there's probably not going to be a legitimate election. That would not surprise anybody. Things are getting a little bit bizarre in Democrat land. Things have been bizarre in Republican land. And let's face it, the libertarians are just nutballs. I'm sorry. This time, instead of stealing 2% or 3% or whatever from the Republicans and the Democrats alike, the candidate they chose is so nuts that they're probably only going to steal about 1% of the vote, but they're going to be stealing it from Joe Biden. They're not going to be stealing it from Donald Trump, which is very bizarre indeed. But things are just going to get a little bit odd. So right now is, once again, a good time. We're now pretty much at the end of the second quarter. So if you have not gone to the IRS website yet, you U.S. citizens, to see where you are in paying this year's taxes, so you can redo your W-4 to stop sending extra money to Washington, this would be a good time to do it. If your freezer is not full, or you have not developed a good plan for cycling out your pantry so that food does not expire, this is a good time to work on that. And this is also a good time to gather up all the extra fiat debt instruments that you can get your hands on and buy silver and gold while they are still on sale. Buy them in physical form. You can play the arbitrage games all you want with the paper, with money that you can afford to lose. But when it comes to actual wealth preservation, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. Oh, hold on. We need to update the number. Uncapped.
Gary says thank you.
Wow. There you go.
Mr. Virtue says thanks, Eva. Oh my goodness.
You would swear I did not have that cooler turned up.
So bit of a recap. We finished the breakthrough this week. We got the samples we need to evaluate how the vein is going at that breakthrough level. Some good bulk samples, which I will crush and split down. Hopefully that'll give us the information we need to proceed further with some sort of confidence. Thank you, Brian. It's looking pretty good. It looks like the glycine might work okay. Things got darker. It just adjusted. It might work okay for a pad leach or whatever. I didn't see the 80-degree test. Might not have been looking just at that moment. Did you do 80? And if so, what was that result?
Oh, I know what 70 is.
They still got those two to go. Let's see. The new hybrid mill needs more testing and such, but at the moment, looks like things are going pretty well. Got a lot of ore to process out at the ranch. And we've got probably going to have to wait for some snow to melt before we get to the top of the hill. Not sure, but I'm thinking. Okay. Just looking at the mountains around here. They got about 2 feet of snow like last Wednesday, something like that.
We'll find out Wednesday or Thursday.
So, not a problem there. 80 degrees, 50 seconds. Again, not bad. Well, when it came to reloading, first of all, to really optimize a load, you need to have a fairly precise firearm and, more importantly, a fairly precise shooter. I am not a precise shooter, therefore optimizing a round is of limited utility for me. Um, so I don't find it that much fun. It's just kind of a repetitive thing. So I don't find it terribly enjoyable myself. But some people find it, calming or this, that, or the other, which is fine. Some people are so good and their hardware is so precise that they can really fine tune stuff and make a substantial improvement to their performance. With me, I'm not a long range shooter. I'll never be a long range shooter. I'm just not that steady, even from a rest. So as long as I can hit the target effectively, I figure I'm doing okay. I don't have the personality to be a great shooter. Okay, not me. Randy, on the other hand, my brother, he sends me pictures with the show uh, two holes in a target at 100 yards. And I said, that's not a bad group. He says, no, that's two groups. Each hole is two bullets. He adjusted the scope between the two, you know? And to say, it's an impressive gun and also impressive shooting. My brother is a vastly better marksman than I am. Always been, always will be, I'm sure. But that's okay. Say my thing is just being able to hit the target effectively. So, uh, no big deal there. Kind of the same way I am with just about everything is how efficiently can I achieve the goal, the benchmark, whatever it is. Okay, in the case of gold mining, it's how cheaply and productively can I mine it. In the case of processing, it's how effectively can I achieve the highest recovery at the lowest cost with the least amount of equipment and the simplest process. Those are kind of my thing. I guess to a certain extent, I try and minimize, eliminate equipment steps, whatever. Efficiency is more my thing as opposed to pure productivity or performance. Okay. Other people like racers and stuff, it's for maximum performance. But I don't think anyone can. Okay, take care, Brian. See you in a little bit. I don't think anyone argues that racers are efficient at going around the track just fast. Clearly, you could get around that many miles a lot cheaper some other way. So, I say that's my kick. So, um, Montana B, we got the samples to figure it out. Well, Rock, that's pretty impressive, not only for your shooting, but the gun itself for a BB gun. Again, ain't my thing. Um, that's very impressive, Rock. And let's say it would be nice if I could do that. Well, that got you out of some work, huh? Uh, so that's kind of my thing. I'm uh, jack of all trades, master of none, but I have a good time. The mill will probably be running a lot lot of stuff there from top of the hill from last year. Got a lot of square footage to clean up. I got a lot of rock stacked different places from different stuff that we got to crush and pulverize. And we need to get more experience with the mill and try and get that sluice optimized. Oh, I'm sure that made them very happy, Rock, didn't it? I bet you they came back and were just thrilled to death with you, weren't they? Just a guess. I'm if you don't mind me asking, what year did you go into the military and what were the rules at that time? Okay. I know that I've talked to people who were in World War II and Korea and stuff like that. And obviously, the rules of behavior have changed tremendously uh, during that time period. But I was just wondering how it was in Kanukistan there. 84 to 89. Yeah, okay. Thank you for your service, Rock. Rules were pretty strict. Yeah, airborne light infantry would be, but that's pretty good. I back, oh, probably 15, 20 years before that, in the United States military, they were a whole lot more strict than they were now. For example, and I got this from several sources, MPs were allowed to shoot a fleeing prisoner, just shoot him. And I talked to a gentleman who claimed one time to have been, kind of walking across the base. He had a friend who was an MP. Airborne, Gary. You get your wings if you're airborne. Parachute. But anyhow, he was walking across the base. His friend, who was an MP, was walking across the base with a prisoner, and they started having a conversation. And the prisoner decided this would be a good time to make a run for it. He took off, and the MP, who was a Korea War vet, knew exactly what his pistol could do. Went, halt, 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 boom, and continued the conversation. you know, yeah, I don't think it's that strict nowadays. But yeah, used to be the military thought their job was to prepare people to go to war. Now I'm not sure what they think. But warrior is another one, is not my forte. Okay. I could have probably done, like everything else, a reasonably competent job, especially depending upon what they wanted me to do in the military. But it's not my calling. Um, Say I could have done a good job if needed, but not a great job. Certainly no kind of shooter like Rock, you know. So I say, just I've come to terms with the fact that I'm mediocre at almost everything, but I'm mediocre at a lot more things than most people are. So it balances out. Uh, Absolutely, David.
things that are not on the 2024 bingo card.
Uh-oh, she's got something. What?
Blind bisexual goose named Thomas, who spent 6 years in a love triangle with 2 swans and helped raise 68 babies, dies at the ripe old age of 40.
Okay. Blind geese.
Blind bisexual geese.
Well, I don't know, honey bunny. I understand what you say there in terms of you're jumping from a good plane, you know the situation is cool, etc. But a bad one, you don't know what's going on. Well, thank you, Mr. Virtue, and happy birthday. By the way, I saw something today, a video. Um, and it was like a Cessna 180 or something like that. I don't know. Had retractable gear, and it was obviously Australia from the conversations, and the guy lost his engine near the airport. There was another plane flying the pattern that actually started tracking him and was taking a picture as he came in, and this guy, his shadow was much too close to the airplane on his final approach to the airport. And it's nothing but houses and like 2-lane roads. It's not looking good. And then when he cleared that last big building, probably a hangar or something there, I swear he couldn't have been 20 feet above it, judging by the separation between him and his shadow. And maybe 2 seconds later, at the most, he hit the runway, not hard, but no gear up. I presume he lost his engine, decided dropping the gear is going to give me too much drag. I'm just going to belly land this sucker. And they walked away. You know? And it was pretty dramatic footage. You don't usually get to see that good of footage, but yeah. And everyone walked away. Plane was dinged up a little bit, but still basically in one piece. Yep. How good are they putting you right on the drop zone nowadays? I would think with GPS and stuff, it's got to be pretty good nowadays. Anyhow, anything else? Not much in the way of mining. Anyone got any questions or anything like that? I noticed we haven't had any problems with the stream today. My methodology today was first I rebooted the computer. I, logged back on within 30 minutes of the date to queue up the what do you have? The live stream, and didn't want any other YouTube or anything like that. And it seems to have worked so far. We've also using this camera on the computer and the microphone on the computer. According to Ryan, part of the problem may be that camera up there is not a good fit. So let's say we're getting some new hardware and stuff. We'll try and upgrade this. It could be too, Rock. I don't know. Well, yeah, but that's because you got mowed over by a freaking supercell. How many holes are you digging, Keith? Right now, I've got 3 active spots: Montana B, a couple others, and good point, David. And another one queued up. We definitely want, and that's actually going to be 2 different locations, same, presumably vein, and we'll have to see how that all works out. So 5 targets right now, and I still haven't heard anything from Jeff Kablock, so I don't know what's going on there. And I've got another possibility in mind. This would be as a secondary thing, more like leaching their tailings, that sort of things. What's that? 6 active projects that I know of. Yeah, we're going to be busy. Are these old mines? Let me check and think. As far as I know, they are all old mines, even the stuff that I'm not actively on. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see much inside the mine portal, Honey Bunny. Eva is extremely concerned that if I go in, I won't come out. And I have learned over the years to trust her intuition. There are other ways of getting possible samples. Basically, dig around to where you can find the ore body. Let's see. Line of sight, probably 20 miles, rock. Okay. And so I say I'm very, very reluctant to go in there, but I should be able to get critical sampling done by digging around the portal and being quite careful. We shall see what we shall see.
My crucibles were fire clay, weren't they?
Yes. Can you make a portable arsenal? You can do all kinds of things, although some things require more permitting than others. And the problem is that she's not even sure it's bad ground. Okay, so right now I got to find an orb. I got to find the actual structure. You would think if there's a hole in the side of a mountain, somewhere around the hole is going to be the structure. You know, and that is, presumably when you clean all the way around, you should find something. Not too much hantavirus. I think Eva is worried more about the mold, but don't know. Let's say not exactly clear, Ricky, except she's pretty well convinced that if I go in there, I ain't coming back out. At least not on my feet. Okay. So I'll be digging it out, trying to find the mineralized structure, presumably a quartz vein, since there was quartz in the dump, and so I just don't know. We have plenty of stuff to do just trying to evaluate those things without having to go underground. But we shall play it as we see it. I think I got a couple of good ideas that'll allow me to find the actual structure without actually having to go underground. Going underground is the simplest. But cool, Jeff. Um, but that's not necessarily the easiest nor the safest. Okay. So I'll say we shall see what we shall
I'm
see.
trying to remember what size my crucibles were.
15 gram, 30. I think they were 15 gram, but I'm not sure.
Oh no, they're not that small.
Oh, well, I can't do it on this. You'll have to look on that computer, little one.
You remember what size the case was?
About that big.
No, I meant like 25, 40.
Little one, if you want to find out, just get on this computer and look it up. We ordered it. If you want to know what it is, just look it up. It's that simple. There it is. Legend. There we go. See if you can find my orders. Anyhow.
Man, squirrel fires are expensive.
Yeah, all kinds of things are expensive. So anyhow, that's basically the plan up there. I say, plus we have some other stuff to look at and look for and that sort of thing. That's not a bad idea, honey bunny. What was that? Yeah, that's not exactly the same one, I don't
Those
think.
are 8 inches tall. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine were not that tall.
Do we have our old assays? Case of 6 now. It was a lot more than that.
Yeah, I was going to say.
There we go. My account. There's orders. Yeah. Remember, we're on dial-up. Well, not dial-up. Wi-Fi.
Granular assay litharge. No.
Okay. Yeah. Kneeling.
16 gram. 25.
I thought it was 15 grand. That's not 16. It's 15.
Yeah, 15.
Yep. So anyhow, that's kind of the summer. Plus, we're testing the hybrid mill and a few other little things. As I said, I just got the bob mill running again, so we'll be running that for a while. Depending on things, we might build a much bigger bob mill next winter. Something about a 12-inch wide sort of thing, and see how that works. That should increase productivity significantly. Always a font of positivity, David.
And.
That's I think Eva's major concern, honey bunny. We're also gonna squirt bleach ahead of us, so to speak. We're not going in very deep at either one. Well, one, we're not going in at all. Because the opening that we have available is just not suitable. The other one, I think there may be another opening there that I'll look for and see if I can find. And if so, I got the suspicion that that's the one that was actually in the original outcrop. Hey, Rock. Yeah, it'd be nice if you wind up in the vicinity sometime, we can spend a day looking at some stuff and you can give me your expertise. But the situation is all pretty busy. Yeah, if you were poorly ventilated, yeah, if I'm right at the opening, I should be able to spray it in front of me without too much trouble. I say I'm not planning on going in very deep at all. One, you couldn't really get into it without too much risk. Um, it sounds good, Rock. Uh, if you can't dazzle them with brilliance, baffle them with bullshit. Um, but the other one, I should be able to get deep enough just by knocking down the loose portal area and smoothing it up. Any airflow? Uh, in one, no, but it's only 30 feet deep, so not a big issue. Oh, we're still trying to find where all the quartz crystals come from on this frickin' mountainside.
Well, you're not going in there anyway.
We have yet to find any quartz in its native location. It's ridiculous. You'd think with as many quartz crystals and stuff as we're finding as float quartz, it'd be easy to find an outcrop. Not happening. Very strange. So let's say we have loads of work to do there. And I say we got some other stuff to things. Yeah, that'd be nice, Brian. You want to get the permits? We've tried some moderate hand trenching, actually just minor hand trenching. Still not. I mean, there's a trench laying on the surface. One would think there was something in the bottom of that trench they were digging up. See, I'm smart. And then you dig in the bottom of the trench, there's nothing but, decomposing bedrock. There's all kinds of permits for certain things. If you want to trench, i.e., get an excavator up there, oh, yeah, on Forest Service land, yeah, it's possible. Next season, if we start now, I say there's so many dog holes and trenches on this mountain. It's like, well, they weren't just digging for the exercise, but we never, let's say, doesn't take a genius to figure out just dig in the bottom of the trench. What were they trenching? So far, nothing.
We got big boulders,
Yeah.
quartz boulders.
Yeah.
Named dozer push.
Yeah, we got an area where they scraped with a dozer, piled it up. You see quartz in the dozer dump. You go out there, you try and trench across what should be fairly thin cover to bedrock. Can't find squat. Nothing in situ. Now, how much time we spent? An hour or two. Not that much. But short of spending days, I'd say I would have thought that we'd have found something by now. That's like, what the hell? I've got a couple of tons of float piled up out at the ranch. You think we could have found a vein in place by now? You think? It's just bizarre.
I have probably 100 pounds of quartz, and I haven't even bottomed home half of what I found.
Yeah. So, as I say, it's just one of those things. It's perplexing me, but we'll spend more time on it. Last year we spent a lot of time staking claims and such. At this point, I believe exactly, Rock. And I'd love to get a mini excavator up there. I bet you we could learn a lot in a real short period of time. However, not happening right now. Now, if we can find any kind of a good ore body where we can say, okay, here's money, we need to dig here, get money, then it'll be a lot easier to spend money other place. Plus, there's another patented claim down the hill from where we were that we need to go take a look at too now. Okay, so I say there's way too many diggings and trenchings and scratchings in this hill to be just people who think something, you know, there's got to be something there of some sort. Not sure exactly what at this point, you know, but yeah. Well, the permits are not necessarily costly. I mean, in terms of the actual permits, don't cost a whole lot themselves. The bonding can be costly, and the time constraints is one of the big problems. Okay. You may be sitting there, 12, 24 months. You just waiting to get this. And then they say, well, we need this information. Oh, well, that means I got to hire a specialist and do this. And voila, you know. There's absolutely no outcropping that I can recall. Little one, except up there by those survey points. Do you remember any rock actually outcropping?
No.
No. Okay.
Nothing but host rock, and even the host rock is not outcropped.
Well, I mean that even just bedrock anywhere.
Yeah.
A little bit on that one ridge, and that's about it. It's all covered with soils, and I don't recall seeing a field or a streak of quartz or anything like that in the soil, float. Like there's this field of
Nope.
float a little bit there.
We have not seen any of that.
You know?
I'm looking for it.
I say it's just David says, bless you.
Thank you.
So it's very frustrating because it's like it's all hidden right there.
Ugh.
This is why it's likely we'll do quite a bit more trenching. And so we shall see. I mean, according to the geologic map, the main bedding in the bedrock is like, 15 degrees from vertical. It's like, what'd that be? 75-degree dip or something like that. And Rockwoodger says, bless you. David says, that's two. One more. Yes, Red Wing, there is mullock piles next to where they trenched. Absolutely.
And there's no quartz in them.
Yeah. And that's it. There's one spot there was quartz. Some of these trenches are lined up from the upper discovery cabin to the lower discovery cabin, and at it there's like a series of trenches. Like, that looks like a structure, but what is it? How many days do you have to spend digging trenches by hand? That sort of thing. Not that I'm averse to the idea, but I'd like to have a good idea where to start first. So I may get a lot of exercise this summer. We shall see what we shall see. Mr. Virtue says Gesundheit.
Thank you.
But that's one of the frustrating things. There is one spot that was obviously trenched by an excavator. Okay. And it was trenched fairly deep. So I suspect there may be something there that we can find if we can dig deep enough by hand to actually get to it. Okay. So we shall see what we shall see. Some of this activity may be so super secret that you'll only see videos from at night. so you can't have any background stuff at all. But that'll just add to the mystery, you know. And as I say, we shall see what we shall see. We got lots of work ahead just trying to find stuff. Yeah, the trenching and dog holing, I would agree. It seems like they had some idea that punching a hole here might find something, but they didn't find something of any significance. And a number of the trenches are even lined up kind of end to end, which would again give you the impression that there was something there. Who knows? For all we know, we had some guy who was a scammer and pretended to be able to douse stuff there, and was just telling them around them, and people were digging and blah blah blah. Have no idea, and that's possible, David. Mostly up and downhill, Rock.
I'd love it if Rock was there.
Yeah, I think I'll just do at night, Honey Bunny. It's simpler, but yeah. And say I do not know. That's possible, Rock. However, none of the geologic information I have indicates flat lying structures. Not saying it isn't. Okay. That could explain why things don't seem to be matching up. Any workings on the other side? Essentially, yeah. Whole freaking hill. We got some significant holes here and there and over there. If you put a pin in the ground and drew a 1 mile circle, you've probably got a dozen disturbances that you can see from space, and it could be rock. Would not surprise me a bit. Say, until I can get some kind of determination as to what's going on with precision. So far, all the trenching, there's one trench. Another thing too, it's my thought that if you were trenching a vein, it would tend to be narrower than if you're trenching the outcrop of a flat lying structure. You'd probably make it as wide as possible, and so I can't really tell for sure what's going on. I have one trench on one hill on one of the claims that we staked that runs 1,500 feet long, a continuous trench.
It's big.
That's decent size. This is not just a little teeny exploration trench. And then oriented almost perpendicular to that is a much larger trench, which is much shorter on the same hill. And that has a tunnel in the side of that hill there that has a modest sized dump. I say I got loads of work to do. And we have tried panning some of it. Around the discovery cabin, Eva has brought me back a lot of samples. She's gone out collecting samples while I was just moving muck. And hardly any of them showed much. Am I correct, little one?
Yeah.
like about a .06 was the best.
Yeah.
Most of them are zips. And so we have tried loaming and haven't found anything. I mean, we were panning the mullock piles from a trench. Okay, you would think, well, if they were digging here because they're what do you call it? They're loaming. They found some in the soil, then there should be some there. There wasn't. Did I see any rails in the holes? The lower Discovery cabin area does have some rails coming out of it, and it's got some significant sized ups. That's one of those you can see from space. Okay.
Yeah, and I have not had a chance to really explore that dump yet.
And but we cannot observe a clear mineralized structure they were following. So I can't really tell. Okay. Yeah, we got a tremendous lack of information at the current time. But somebody spent a lot of time around there. Some of these places took some while to build some. Well, that's a guess, Rock. Could be right. I don't think it was that long ago, but I don't know. Yeah, I could try. I got it. Rock says, bring your Geiger counter. Why not? But as I say, we got a lot of stuff to look at.
Funny as hell.
And there's one mine in the area that we have a little information on, but it's tantalizingly small. A zone of broken rock 40 feet wide with some mining and stoping. I note the term wide as opposed to tall.
And that one thing that we found in the lower cabin, I mean, that hole in the ground is wide.
So it's kind of hard to tell. I'm just trying to visualize an ore body in the ground, or not ore body, a mineralized structure in the ground. I'm trying to see one. That's what's frustrating. I would agree that lower Discovery cabin area, that's the one with rails, where I got, the breakthrough in there, stuck the camera. That looked wide. Okay. I could also not see a vertical structure in the ceiling. I saw no stoping. What structure I could see seemed horizontal in the rock. And hey, Shaggy, the tunnel was definitely wider than they had to do back in those days. So to me, that would indicate, a flat lying structure would be my guess. If so, I should be able to find the outcrop to either side. That's what I'm thinking. It looks to me like that cabin down there, there's a ditch underneath it. Now, most people don't either A, dig a ditch under their cabin, or B, build their cabin on top of a ditch, unless that ditch goes someplace important. My thought is that was the original portal. Okay. And therefore, I need to clean out that area of the hill there and start digging it. Okay. And getting down to the bedrock there and seeing if possibly Honey Bunny and see if I could find something. Yeah, it's that second part that sucks. I love the first part, Rock.
I want to find a way to get my crystals up the hill.
Nope. The stuff we dug to get the opening, we just hauled it off. We did one sample of the bedrock right there, and the assay came back so, anomalously high, but not, high. And so, we didn't see any reason to try mining anything at that point. But yeah, let's say big goal right now is to find something in the ground that's got some decent gold. When we first got up there, we tested some there's a section of hillside there which has some holes and trenches. I mean, pretty significant, like 10-foot deep hole, stuff like this. Couldn't find anything that had any significant anything in it. Very annoying. Again, it's the sort of thing that, for $10,000, and if you had the permits and an excavator, you could do some stuff pretty quick. And I can't eliminate that possibility, but I can tell you it'd be a whole lot easier to get the money flowing if we had some place that was profitable. If we had one vein or occurrence anywhere that's like, oh yeah, that one's making you $2,000 a week, Not that I'm aware of, Rock. It's heavily forested, which doesn't help. But this is where I was hoping to get some kind of LiDAR imaging. And the price changed. I was pretty sure when I called him up the first time, he was talking like $1,000 a day for flying a drone LiDAR. That changed to, I believe, $10,000 a day, which was kind of out of the budget. Perhaps I when we were at Montana Tech, the guy said that they'd taken LiDAR over a lot of area, but they were still compiling it, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. So we might be the LiDAR information might be available now. Here's my notepad, for God's sakes. Every time I go to do something, the notepad's disappeared. LiDAR available. Yeah, I can just call up and find if they've got that available, because I know the state was working on when we were at in South Dakota. There, he had the LiDAR available, and you could see the disturbances clearly, just the little dog holding and stuff. So that would be very nice to be able to image through there. Let me see, Rock. I might be able to do that real easy. Kink. Because I'm pretty sure I emailed him. Holy crap. Lon has sent me a bunch of pictures. What was that guy's name?
I think it was Rich.
No, it's one of those. Now let's see if I can just do LiDAR and it'll search it. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, let's see. LiDAR collection 3 days, $13,400. Mobilization $2,300. Post processing $3,550. Total cost $1,250. Let's see. Okay, it must have been an earlier one than this. Oh, come on, you stupid thing. I hate. Okay. No. Why does it do all this crap? My God. There's the quote. Ron Bell, no, that's Paul. So why do I have something here back from him, but not on the thread where I sent him the first one?
I have no idea.
How weird. He must not have hit reply. Let's see. Sent items. Let's see if I can find this crap. No. Okay, that's not what I was looking for. Jesus Christ. No, I didn't say do that. I said just go back one step. Why is it always so difficult to do anything on a computer? Okay. Will a KMZ file do you good, Rock Butcher? Because he's got a KMZ file here that shows the area. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and forward this thing to you here. No, I don't want to send it to him. Good fucking God. Okay, how do I cancel it now? No. No, I don't want to schedule it. I just want to cancel it, you piece of crap. Forward this to Rock. Got it. Okay, it's sent, Rock. Okay. Okay, that gives you the that gives you the area. It's, I say, supposedly a KMZ file. It looks like a satellite image or something like that. So if not, I can give you the coordinate, but I can't. I don't know why in my sent items it doesn't have the email I sent the guy with the coordinates of the corners. You know, because he says, well, this is where I think, and no, that's not it. He goes, oh, well, I think it's this one. Yeah. Then why don't I have the one that started the whole freaking thread? Anyhow, if that doesn't work, Rock, let me know and I can get you actual more details and stuff. No problem. But yeah, if we had good LiDAR imaging of that area available, then that would give us a really good idea of where to focus our efforts. Just a second. Let's see, Rock. Oh, come on, you piece of crap computer. Let me take a look at it here. Got to orient myself. Can we get... How do I expand this image? Well, you think you could zoom in on something, don't you? You think control scroll? Yeah, you'd be wrong. Let's see. I know where that is. That would be that. That would be that. If it would allow me to scroll in, I'd have a much better idea, Rock. I can't even frickin' read it. Pretty much that's got to be there. That's got to be it. That's got to be... Good Lord. That's the road. That should be the pass there where the roads take off. We come up around here. Can you make that larger in any way, shape, or... Yeah, no, touch screen. Sure.
No, I can't.
See, that's... You'd think that control... It makes it smaller. It won't make it larger.
I don't know how to help you with that.
I don't know. I just wish I could get some resolution. If I had some resolution, I could see something. But instead, I'm guessing there is some fucking something written right freaking there. It's a coordinate. And I'm pretty sure I know essentially where that is. That would be all. Okay, I think I'm really zoomed out here. It's pretty close to that coordinate, if I'm not mistaken. Rock. I mean, the one that's actually marked there near the center. Because that would be, that's got to be that section corner. Yeah, pretty close to that coordinate that's marked. Click on the K. Yeah, I did click on the KMZ file. And it's just sitting there. It shows me the KMZ file. I was like, can I scroll in? No. Can I scroll out? No. Can I change the thing? Nope. Nothing would frickin' change. You'd think somewhere would be okay, let's make it larger. Well, that just worked the other way. Huh. Wonderful. What does this say? Full screen. Well, that makes it better. Wow, this is weird because it just doesn't quite look right. I can actually get you real coordinates too, if needed. Let's see. It says 2 attachments. I don't know. Oh, well, everyone else gets to watch. Okay, thank you, Mr. Butcher. I don't know what it's trying to do there. Okay, Rock. That's no problem. It's on my Google Earth on this computer. What's new? This is one of the things that I hate about changing computers. When you do everything that you spent months figuring out and or years.
When Ryan comes, we can see about joining the two of them together.
Yes, okay. Could we activate, please? Thank you. Oh, I say if it would just allow me to do the simplest thing, it would be nice. Google Earth Pro. Yeah, this is on Wi-Fi now, so it's going to take forever. Which adit are you talking about? The one with the cabin in the foreground and the hole in the hillside and the big gouge in the hillside behind it? The rails. Got it. Know what you're talking about here. Let's see. There's Discovery. Okay, let's see. That should get me in the area. Okay, and though the edit, yeah, okay. Let's see. Go to mail. Close that. Jesus. Let's close that. Okay. Mail. Okay, close that. Stay on page. Go back to mail. Good Lord. And it's changed its size for no particular reason. What's new? Holy crap. No, I don't want an add an application. I want you to leave me the frick alone. I want you to change the size.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, I hit that thing.
I know, I was trying. See, now it's giving me this frickin' thing, which is a whole other size. Apparently, it was changing the size of screens that weren't even on the screen. Uh, I'm online. Twelve. Delete. Okay. Oh, I gotta find the send button.
You're gonna have to shrink the screen again.
How?
Scroll button thingy.
Control, scroll. Now it's working. Don't ask me why it wouldn't do it before. And where's the send button? You see a send button anywhere? I got it. It's hidden. Yes. Send. I want to send. Thank you. Ah. Yeah, I know top right usually. It was hidden. I had to hit a drop down menu to find send. Oh, yeah. I agree, Rock. Oh, yeah. There. There you are, Rock. Thank you very much for the help. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's been. You'll see there's a number of mines in the area, old mines. Actually, exactly, Rock. If you look to the east, less than a mile, there's a major mine. If you look to the southeast, less than a mile, you'll see another portal that goes on into the hill and actually winds up near the area where we camp. Say it's and if you look at landscapes, it's just a patchwork of national forest and patented claims, everyone. So it's kind of a hodgepodge mess up there. But there's definitely mineralization. There's definitely been old mining. There's definitely been old exploration. Aside from that, who the frick knows? Sounds about right, honey bunny. Oh, anyhow, with that freaking fiasco.
Yeah, now that you completely bored your users.
Oh no, some of them have been laughing. I got as many people watching now as when you were giving your talk. uh,
I
so,
must admit, it's nice having y'all witnessing him because with y'all witnessing, he's not screaming and swearing.
yeah. Well, the thing is, say, me and computers don't get along because they like to do things differently at different times. Now, in some cases, I'm sure it's simply I'm doing something different that doesn't appear different to me. For example, hitting a shift button instead of a control button, or something to that effect, or the caps lock instead of the shift.
Oh, you might want to ask if any of these people know how to disable a particular key on a keyboard without removing the key. So we can shut off your.
I don't know. This is what, Windows what?
Oh, Windows 10 or Windows 11, one of the two.
Okay. Yeah, I say it's some interesting, very interesting area, Rock. By the way, Eva was wondering. Apparently, I'm running Windows 10. Is there software that can disable a key so that if I accidentally hit it, it does absolutely nothing? Because I like to accidentally hit the caps lock key for no good reason, just like. I don't know what that one is. Good Lord. Bad I suck. FN? Function, I guess.
Function, yes.
Yeah.
You don't want to touch that.
Yeah. I sure don't. Yeah, it's there's been a lot of stuff going on there. Rock. Absolutely. Say, you, $1 million, 2 months, couple helpers. I bet you could get a lot of interesting information there. Absolutely. But anyhow, you got an idea where the lower discovery adit is. But say there's other stuff there. Oh, he'll I'm sure he'll be able to communicate what he needs to, honey bunny. Okay. Well, on that high note, I suppose we can call it a night if nobody's got anything else. Anyone got any questions or comments or anything they want to say before the thing? Ah, that makes sense. Apparently, Harry Smith says, and I'm not going to try it myself, to disable a specific key, navigate to Microsoft PowerToys Keyboard Manager, select Remap a key, click Add Key Remapping, then select the key, set it to disable, and click OK. Thank you, Harry.
Thank you, Harry. Can you email those
No,
instructions?
it's right there. I'm not going to try and do it myself. I'll wait till Ryan's here. If he doesn't know it by heart, we'll be able to refer to that. So, anybody got anything? No, I cannot, Mr. Virtue, due to confidentiality concerns. I have to be very careful. Okay. On the old keyboard, I just literally plucked the key off, Mr. Virtue.
But Ryan has already told him.
He says this computer will not tolerate that. And looking at the keyboard, I can see why. But anyhow, if we can just disable it, that'll be fine. Because you know, like that control key and all those things over there where I tend to hit shift, just get around it and without doing it. I can always hit the control or the alt over here where I never touch anything. So it would only be when I'm glad, David. So anyhow, we got lots to do. We should be doing a lot more videos now and stuff. If anyone has any questions or whatever, just go ahead and put it on the videos, you know, to comment or whatever. I saw it. Go ahead, honey bunny, go ahead. So anyhow, and we got plenty to do. Lots to keep us busy. Oh. You're welcome, Rock. I wouldn't either. Well, of course, Devil's Tower is pretty close. You never know. So, anyhow, we will stay busy. We got lots of stuff to do, and if you got any questions or suggestions or whatever, the last day or so, I will have to review all those videos and make sure I reply to everyone. So, as Honey Bunny says, happy prospecting and keep it safe out there. I try, David. Poorly at times, unfortunately.